Vladimir Putin's ascension to a fifth term as the president of Russia marks a significant milestone in the country's post-Soviet history. This development raises crucial questions about the future direction of Russia, its place on the global stage, and the impacts on international stability and security. Understanding these dynamics requires a deep dive into Putin's past governance and what a continued tenure could mean for the world. Russia, under Putin, has shown a unique blend of authoritarian governance, economic strategizing, and complex foreign policy maneuvers. As the world watches this unfolding scenario, it becomes essential to analyze the potential shifts in international relations and global power structures. This essay seeks to explore these themes, providing insights into what might lie ahead for Russia and the international community. The significance of Putin's extended rule is multifaceted, impacting global political alignments, economic interactions, and security frameworks. By examining these elements, this piece aims to provide a thorough understanding of the potential changes and challenges that could emerge from Putin's fifth term. The governance of Russia has historically been characterized by strong, centralized control. From the Tsars of the Russian Empire to the General Secretaries of the Soviet Union, leadership has often been synonymous with absolute power and minimal opposition. This tradition laid the groundwork for the type of governance that emerged in post-Soviet Russia. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia experienced a tumultuous transition towards a nominally democratic setup. However, the 1990s were marked by significant political instability and economic turmoil under President Boris Yeltsin. This period set the stage for a leader who could bring stability and assertiveness, qualities that would later be associated with Vladimir Putin. Putin first rose to power in the context of this instability. His initial promise was to restore order and revive the Russian state's prowess. Over time, this promise has translated into a governance style that emphasizes strong presidential control, with limited tolerance for dissent and opposition, aligning closely with Russia's historical precedents of leadership. Vladimir Putin, a former KGB officer, came into the national spotlight in 1999 when he was appointed as Prime Minister by President Boris Yeltsin. His ascent to power was rapid. Within months, he was acting president, and by 2000, he had won his first presidential election. His background in intelligence contributed to his image as a decisive and secretive leader. During his early years in power, Putin focused on consolidating power and rebuilding the state's influence, both domestically and internationally. He implemented a series of political and economic reforms that centralized power in the presidency and curtailed the influence of regional governors and the oligarchs who had risen to prominence in the 1990s. Putin's leadership style and his government's policies have been marked by a focus on stability and economic growth, but also by increasing control over the media, political opposition, and civil society. This approach has ensured his popularity among many Russians, who credit him with restoring national pride and stability after the chaotic post-Soviet years. Putin's tenure as president, interrupted only by a stint as prime minister from 2008 to 2012 due to constitutional term limits, has been marked by significant events that have shaped both Russia and its international relations. His leadership saw the implementation of strict political controls and a focus on restoring Russia's geopolitical influence. Domestically, Putin's terms have been characterized by the strengthening of state institutions, revival of the Russian economy, and significant improvements in public infrastructure and welfare. However, these achievements have been shadowed by allegations of corruption, a crackdown on dissent, and the muzzling of the press, which have raised concerns about human rights and democratic backsliding. Internationally, Putin has pursued an assertive foreign policy aimed at restoring Russia's standing as a global power. This has included military interventions in Georgia and Ukraine, involvement in the Syrian conflict, and efforts to influence political outcomes in Western democracies. These actions have often put Russia at odds with the West, leading to sanctions and strained relations. Under Putin, Russia's economy has experienced periods of significant growth, fueled by high oil prices and state-driven investment in key sectors. This economic strategy has helped stabilize Russia and increase its influence in global energy markets. However, reliance on oil and gas exports has also made the economy vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices. The government's control over major economic sectors and the suppression of political dissent have discouraged foreign investment and innovation. While stability has been achieved, it has often been at the cost of economic diversification and modernization. This has implications for the long-term health of the Russian economy. Looking ahead, Putin's fifth term could further entrench these economic patterns or possibly push for necessary reforms. The global shift towards renewable energy and the potential for international sanctions could challenge the current economic model, forcing a strategy rethink. Section 6: International Relations under Putin. Putin's foreign policy has been marked by efforts to restore Russia's influence on the global stage and challenge Western dominance. This has been evident in Russia's aggressive military posture in Eastern Europe and its strategic partnerships in Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. These actions reflect a desire to establish Russia as a center of power in a multipolar world. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the military support for the Assad regime in Syria are examples of how Putin's Russia has been willing to assert its interests, even at the cost of international condemnation and economic sanctions. These moves have significantly impacted Russia's relations with the EU and the US, contributing to a period of heightened global tensions. In his fifth term, Putin is likely to continue this assertive foreign policy, possibly focusing more on strengthening alliances with China, India, and other non-Western powers. This could lead to a realignment of global power structures, with significant implications for international diplomacy and security. Section 7: Prospects for Putin's fifth term. As Vladimir Putin embarks on his fifth term, the prospects and challenges ahead are numerous. Domestically, he faces the task of managing Russia's economic issues while maintaining his grip on power amidst growing public discontent and opposition movements. Internationally, he must navigate a complex geopolitical landscape marked by shifting alliances and rising tensions. Putin's approach to these challenges will likely involve a continuation of his established policies, tight control over domestic affairs, and an assertive strategic posture abroad. However, there is also potential for unexpected shifts, particularly if economic pressures or international isolation intensify, forcing more substantial changes in policy. The global response to Putin's continued leadership will be crucial. International reactions, ranging from diplomatic engagement to strategic containment, will shape the contours of Putin's fifth term and influence Russia's future path. How the world chooses to interact with Putin's Russia will be a key determinant of global stability and security. Section 8: Implications for global political stability. Vladimir Putin's extended tenure could have profound implications for global political stability. His leadership style and foreign policy choices have the potential to either exacerbate global tensions or contribute to a more balanced power distribution in international relations. Much depends on how other global powers react to Putin's maneuvers. If Western countries perceive Russia's actions as a direct threat, it could lead to increased military spending, enhanced defense alliances, and prolonged economic sanctions, potentially escalating tensions to a Cold War-like standoff. Conversely, diplomatic engagement and multilateral negotiations could pave the way for more stable and cooperative international relations. The role of emerging economies and non-Western powers will also be crucial in shaping the global order during Putin's fifth term. Their willingness to collaborate or confront Russia will influence global trade, security, and diplomatic relations, making the international landscape potentially more unpredictable and complex. Section 9: Conclusion. Vladimir Putin's fifth term as President of Russia is poised to be a significant phase in both Russian and global history. The decisions made and the policies implemented during this term will have far-reaching effects on international relations, global political stability, and economic dynamics. As the world adjusts to this reality, the need for careful analysis, strategic foresight, and robust diplomacy has never been greater. The future under Putin's continued leadership is fraught with challenges and opportunities. For Russia, the journey involves balancing domestic aspirations with international realities. For the global community, it calls for a nuanced understanding of Russia's ambitions and strategic objectives. How these dynamics evolve will shape the course of global affairs for years to come. As we watch this new chapter in Russian governance unfold, the international community must remain vigilant, adaptive, and proactive in its approach to dealing with a Russia under Putin's extended rule. The stakes are high and the outcomes uncertain, but the importance of engaging with this evolving situation is undeniable.